Hi everyone, I am Aslina Ismail, and together with my teammates James Raj, Jaiganesh, Saredhi Sarma, Velayan, S.Thillaiselvan and Vicnesh Kumar. We are excited to share our analysis on Top Glove Corporation Berhad. Now, Top Glove is widely known as the world's largest manufacturers of rubber gloves, but behind that success, the company has faced some major organizational behaviors challenges. This assignment examines major OB issues at Top Glove. Despite its market leadership, Top Glove has faced serious controversies, these including the allegations of forced labor, debt bondage, and poor workers' accommodation. These were serious allegations that really affected its global image. Our research scope in this report intend to apply the key OB theories to identify what is the root causes of Top Glove issues and develop effective, sustainable preventive solutions. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Jai. I will be presenting the introduction to our critical study on organizational behaviors in the Top Glove case. This introductory segment covers the company background and sets the scope and methodology for our report. Let's begin with the company history and growth. Top Glove Corporation Berhad was founded in Malaysia in 1991. It quickly grew to become the world's largest manufacturer of rubber gloves, currently holding a significant 26% of the global market. The company's initial rapid growth was attributed to a few factors: strong leadership, innovation, and a robust product offering. Today, Top Glove has an expansive global presence, offering 51 manufacturing facilities across Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, and China. Their products are distributed in over 195 countries. However, the company experienced its most rapid expansion in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, when global demand for personal protection equipment surged. This sharp decline leads us directly into the scope of our report. We're asking why. Our study posits that this financial downturn was closely tied to systematically organizational and ethical failure. Their financial performance is a symptom of a deeper issue. Specifically, the decline is linked to allegations of forced labor, unsafe working conditions, and systematically behavior issues that led to repercussions and tarnished the company's reputation. Ultimately, this volatility highlights deeper systematic challenge in governance practice and the prioritization of profit over sustainable and ethical business operation. Our entire report is dedicated to using organizational behavior concept to find the root cause behind these ethical and financial consequences. The company's recent history is marked by extreme financial volatility. As shown in this top chart sourced from Bloomberg, the peak source occurred in 2021 when Top Glove achieved record profit of 7.8 billion. This was directly driven by the global surge in demand for PPE during the pandemic. However, just 2 years later, the picture changed drastically in 2023. The company suffered an unprecedented financial loss of Rm 885.5 million. This massive swing signaled potential operation and, more critically, ethical mismanagement. The consequences of this market disruption have been severe. The combination of declined revenue and reputational harm severely impacted stock performance and greatly weakened investors' confidence. The company has also faced increasing scrutiny regarding its labor and ethical practices.
Hi everyone, Aslina again, and now we are going to identify what are the key challenges in Top Glove. Based on our root cause analysis, there are 5 major issues. The first one related to forced labor and unethical practices. The most serious problem was the use of forced labor, especially among the migrant. Investigations by NGO and international agencies uncovered 3 major issues. First, workers were trapped in debt bondage because they had to pay high recruitment fees before joining. That means many of them started their job already in debt and couldn't afford to leave. Second, there was excessive overtime. The workers were clocking up to 120 hours when the Malaysian's legal limit is only 104 hours. Thirdly, regarding withholding of passport, workers were reported that their passport were taken away, limiting their freedom and movement, which this is a breach of Malaysian law and international human rights. All these reflect weak HR policies, poor ethical leadership, and a culture that prioritizes productions over the people. Second, poor employee welfare and safety. Let's look at the employee welfare. Top Glove's workers' dormitories were often described as overcrowded and unsanitary. This became a huge problem during the COVID-19 outbreak in 2020, where nearly 3,000 workers were tested positive. The government had to shut down the 20 factories. This showed that workers' health and safety were clearly not a priority and that the company was more focused on their output rather than the basic welfare of their workers. Thirdly, impact on employee attitude and motivation. Now, what this all mean for the workers? From an OB standpoint, the psychological contract, the unwritten trust between employer and employee was broken. When workers feel exploited, overworked, and unappreciated, motivation naturally drops. Many of them face fatigue, burnout, and extremely low job satisfaction. And when employees lose trust and feel unsafe, their commitment to the company disappears. Even though Top Glove maintained high production levels, the morale and productivity of individual workers were likely much lower.
Now that we have applied the organizational behavior theories, let's move on to the root cause analysis, where we uncover the real challenges behind Top Glove struggle. There are three core challenges stemming from the issue we discussed: financial and reputational damage. The problem was so severe that it caused significant financial losses and severely damaged the company's reputation. This broke the trust of everyone: customers, investors, and the general public. A clear example, the US Custom and Border Protection issued withholding order, followed by a sharp drop in Top Glove's stock values. Lack of organizational commitment. Internally, workers feel disengaged, unfairly treated, and lack of respect. When people feel that way, their commitment fades, and trust in management disappears. Despite the official mission to do well by doing good, the clear prioritization of efficiency over welfare has led to widespread discontent and distrust. Leaders' cultural discrepancies. This is the root cause. Leadership response to ethical issues has been defensive, always prioritizing productivity over employee welfare. This leadership style has created a severe cultural misalignment, the gap between what they say and what they do, which result in toxic work environment. This section summarizes our entire approach. Our study is built on the idea of the violation of basic organizational behavior principle has led to tangible business consequences. We are connecting the dots between theoretical failure and real-world result. The primary focus of this study is on the core OB issues at Top Glove. Our report aims to deeply analyze Top Glove organizational challenges through the crucial lens of organizational behavior. We focus especially on four key areas: organizational culture, leadership style, employee motivation, and organizational justice. How did we conduct this analysis? Our research methodology was to systematically apply established theories. We applied a suite of powerful OB theories to dissect the problems: Maslow hierarchy of needs, Herzberg two-factory theory, McGraw theory XY, Shin culture model, ethical leadership theory. By using these frameworks, we were able to dissect the root cause of the company's challenges and develop effective, sustainable solutions. In conclusion, we used proven OB science to explain what went wrong and how to fix, ensuring our solution addressed the core of the problem, not just the symptoms.
Thank you, Dr. Aslina and Susie, for highlighting the key problems identified at Top Glove. Hi everyone, I am James Raj. I'll be continuing the presentation by sharing about the organizational behavior theories framework. Organizational behavior theories act like lenses. They help us look beyond what's happening on the surface and understand the deeper human and structural issues within a company. In the case of Top Glove, these theories allow us to interpret why challenges related to employee welfare, ethics, and leadership effectiveness continue to arise. Let's begin with Maslow's hierarchy needs, one of the most well-known motivation theories. Maslow proposed that human needs are arranged in 5-level pyramid, starting with physiological needs, followed by safety, belonging, esteem, and finally self-actualization. The idea is simple. People must first have their basic needs met before they can be motivated by higher goals such as recognition, growth, and personal fulfillment. At Top Glove, many migrant workers struggle to meet even their basic physiological and safety needs. Long working hours, crowded dormitories, and limited rest period show that these fundamental needs are not being fulfilled. According to Maslow's theory, when these lower levels remain unmet, workers cannot progress toward higher motivation such as pride in their work or self-fulfillment. Let's look at Herzberg two-factor theory, which divides workplace factors into two categories: hygiene factors and motivators. Hygiene factors include salary, working conditions, and job security. These don't necessarily motivate people, but when they are absent, dissatisfaction quickly sets in. Motivators, on the other hand, are intrinsic, such as recognition, achievement, and opportunities for growth. At Top Glove, hygiene factors are weak. Workers face long hours, poor living conditions, and limited job security. At the same time, motivators are almost absent. Tasks are repetitive and offer little room for creativity or advancement. As a result, employees experience both dissatisfaction and lack of motivation, leading to low morale and high turnover. Let's consider McGregor's theory X and theory Y. Douglas McGregor proposed that management attitude towards employee generally falls into two categories. Theory X assumes that employee dislike works a wide responsibility and therefore need close supervision and control. In contrast, Theory Y assumes that employees are self-motivated, responsible, and capable of self-direction when properly supported and encouraged. The management approach a company adopts, whether X or Y, directly shapes its organizational culture. A Theory X environment is often rigid and compliance-driven, while Theory Y environment fosters collaboration, innovation, and intrinsic motivation. At Top Glove, we can clearly see Theory X orientation. Management relies on strict supervision, tight production quotas, and limited autonomy. Workers are treated more as tools of productivity rather than valued contributors. This reflects fundamental lack of trust in employees' intrinsic motivation, being to fear-based compliance rather than genuine engagement or commitment. There are two more theories which will be discussed by Mr. Vicnesh. Thank you.
Good day everyone, my name is Vicnesh Kumar and I will continue the discussion on the Organizational Behavior Theories framework, focusing on Shane's organizational culture model and ethical leadership theory. These frameworks help us better understand the cultural and leadership challenges within Top Glove. Shane's organizational culture model explains culture at three levels: artifacts, espoused values, and underlying assumptions. Artifacts are the visible structures and processes within an organization. Espoused values reflect the stated strategies and goal. Underlying assumptions are the deep-held beliefs that guide behavior. At Top Glove, the artifacts includes its operational policies and production systems, which have drawn criticism due to allegations of unethical labor practices. This indicates a possible gap between the company's espoused values, such as promoting employee welfare, and its underlying assumptions, which may prioritize productivity or profit. Shane's model reveals that to achieve meaningful change, the organization must address these deeper cultural assumptions, not just surface-level processes. Ethical leadership theory highlights the importance of leaders who demonstrate moral conduct and encourage ethical behavior through communication, reinforcement, and decision-making. Ethical leaders act as role models, fostering trust, respect, and integrity within the organization. In Top Glove's case, leadership responses to controversies have often been reactive, typical following external pressure or regulatory action. Adopting a more proactive ethical leadership approach could help rebuild trust, enhance transparency, and ensure sustainable organizational ethics. In summary, Shane's model explains the cultural foundation of behavior at Top Glove, while ethical leadership theory stresses the role of leadership in promoting ethical values. Together, they show that effective change requires both cultural alignment and ethical leadership. Thank you.
My name is Saredhi. Today we are looking at the challenge at Top Glove through the lens of key organizational behavior theories. These frameworks help us understand why problems like low moral and high turnover are happening and how we can fix them. The core issues here is that Top Glove isn't meeting basic needs. Work's fundamental psychological needs like adequate housing and rest, and safety needs like a safe working environment are not being met. Next we move to the two-factor theories, which was the separate job factors in two groups. Hygiene factors preventing desertification. Top Glove is failing here. Poor working condition and low welfare standards such as housing issues or unfair pay practices standards such hygiene factors. Some motivators, the company also lacks intrinsic motivators. There's an absence of things like recognition and career growth. Finally, we are in the leadership using MC George's Theory X and Theory Y. Theory X, control and mistrust the current environment, and the Top Glove is a clear example of Theory X. The use of strict monitoring and long hours suggests as belief that workers are naturally unwired and must be forced to work. Okay, well, we are continuing our analysis by examining Top Glove's challenge through the lens of organizational culture and ethical leadership. Culture misalignment. At Top Glove, there's a serious misalignment. The company's official public values claim social responsibility, but their actual primary focus is purely on productivity and efficiency. So finally, let's look at the leadership itself using ethical leadership theory. Lack of ethical leadership. The core issues is a lack of ethical leadership. Top Glove's leadership has constantly failed to proceed only response to external pressure or invention instead of beginning protective and preventing issues in the first place. Reactive management style. This reactive management style shows a very low commitment to building an actual ethical culture. They typically wait for a crisis before taking mirror steps, which was suitable solution. So it has created a toxic work environment by fear and poor moral. When the leadership fails on ethics, employees pay the price. Thank you. That's all from me.
Hi, I'm Tilai. My topic would recommendation, a transformation roadmap. We have analyzed the problem. Now let's look at the solution for organization transformation, especially focusing on enhancing employee well-being. We must fix the foundation issue to move forward. The transformation plan focuses on three immediate and critical areas, which is address basic needs, proactive healthcare system, and lastly, stress reduction initiative. For address basic needs, we must start with the basic. As Maslow theory showed, improvement should prioritize safe, hygienic housing, adequate healthcare, and suitable living condition. This directly meets the employee's most fundamental psychological and safety requirements, which are currently unmet and driving low morale. For proactive healthcare system, we need to be provide about health. We must establish accessible medical service and wellness program. These programs must cater to both and physical and mental health needs for our workers, moving beyond just emergency care. And stress reduction initiative. Finally, we must tackle the stress caused by the demanding work environment. We need to introduce recreational space and programs. This initiative will allow workers to unwind and reduce the stress caused by excessive workload, improving their overall quality of life. The final crucial step in our transformation plan is ensuring justice and compliance. This is how we address the ethical and legal failures identified in our analysis and demonstrate a genuine shift towards ethical leadership. We are focusing on three main initiatives to ensure fairness and adherence to standard. Transparent prevents redressal. First, employees need a voice that is heard without fear. We must create clear and confidential grievance mechanism. This guarantees employees can report concern without fear of retaliation, which is essential for building trust and ethical conduct. Regular rights education. We must empower our worker with knowledge. We will conduct regular multilingual training session. This session will inform all employees of their rights, labor law, and the organizational policies regarding ethical practicals and fair treatment. Independent compliance monitoring. Finally, to prove our commitment, we need external accountability. We must establish external audit and independent monitoring system. This ensures strict adherence to labor, law, and ethical standards in our daily operation, providing transparency to all stakeholders. By implementing these three measures, transparency, redressal, right education, and independent monitoring, we are building a truly compliant organization that prioritizes justice for every worker. This commitment is non-negotiable for achieving long-term ethical success.
We have now arrived at a conclusion, focusing on the critical challenge of sustaining change amidst economic pressure. This section summarizes our finding and outlines the future outlook for Top Glove. Our study emphasizes the need for long-term commitment to sustain the changes recommended. Top Glove must prioritize ethical labor practice not merely for regulatory compliance, but as a critical strategy for long-term success and ensuring stability and growth. However, achieving this sustainability is not easy. Top Glove faces ongoing challenges, including recovery from significant financial losses and severe reputational damage. Therefore, a continuous, unwavering commitment to ethical practice is absolutely essential to overcome these hurdles. The Top Glove case is a clear warning, and if you ignore ethics and human well-being, you will undermine your organization's success. Some companies try to achieve financial success through unethical practices like exploitative labor. Don't be fooled. This is completely unsustainable. While they might see short-term profits, they are building their business on a risky foundation. This will inevitably lead to massive reputation damage and operational failure down the road. This brings us to the core point. Labor standards cannot be compromised. There's a significant danger, especially when the economy is low, that the companies will try to cut costs by viewing ethical labor as an optional. This viewpoint is wrong. Treating your workers fairly isn't a cost to be cut. It is essential for long-term survival. A company that sacrifices its people is sacrificing its future. How does a company like Top Glove turn this cautionary tale into a story of recovery and strength? The answer lies in making labor justice as the core of the strategy. First, we must establish labor justice as a competitive advantage. This is not just about regulatory compliance anymore. It's about long-term success. By prioritizing ethical labor, Top Glove can create stability and growth, turning a liability into a key strategy asset that attract customers and talents globally. Second, we need to align culture and leadership with genuine human rights and respect. Lasting change requires more than new policies. It needs cultural shift. Leadership must embrace fairness, transparency, and ethical integrity at every level of operation. When the respect is genuine, the entire business benefits. Finally, these works lead to rebuilding trust for global stability. By making labor justice as a permanent priority, Top Glove can recover its global standing. More importantly, it ensures the dignity and rights of its workforce are protected indefinitely. This long-term commitment is the only way to secure a stable and respected future. Our final thought is on the path forward for Top Glove. To achieve long-term organizational success, Top Glove must integrate sustainable and ethical practice in its core operation, balancing productivity with worker welfare for future growth. By fostering a culture of respect, transparency, and ethical leadership, Top Glove can ensure its long-term success while actively contributing to the global effort for fair labor practices. Thank you.